Hey everyone, it's Nicole. I'm here today for the Newton's Nook and Thermoweb team up, and I'm going to make this really fun card using a stamp set here from Newton's Nook, as well as a Gina K die set, this square die set, some purple tape, some foil mates, as well as Decofoil, all from Thermoweb. So I'm going to start off with my hot melt adhesive, and I've just cut down a card front from my card. I'm going to cut the hot melt adhesive the same size as my card front, and that's just so I can adhere foil over the whole area. So I'm just going to trim that down and then get that running through my laminator. I have my laminator set up in front of my desk. It actually takes up a small amount of space, so it doesn't take a lot. I'm just going to peel off one of the layers of adhesive here and then add that onto the front of my paper and then get that running through my machine. Doesn't take long, so once it comes out, you can see just peel off the other layer of adhesive that's on there, and I'm going to grab the gold colored Decofoil and just run that back through the machine one last quick time. That adhesive is going to melt, and so while that happens, I'm going to use two of the squares here from the Gina K dies, and I'm going to make a little frame using some of that purple tape and just run that through my manual die cut machine just that fast. So now once I peel that apart, you can see I have a fun little stitched frame for the front of my card. And my card's all foiled, so it's really fun. You can run that stuff through the laminator while you work on the rest of your card. So it's not like you're sitting around doing nothing. You can make the most of your time. So super shiny gold front now. And I'm going to grab foam adhesive to put behind the back of that frame that I've created with the dies. And then I'm going to go ahead and decorate the front of my card. I'm going to add some pattern paper. So the gold is pretty overwhelming. It's a lot of gold. It's super pretty, but I wanted to have a little bit more of a subdued look. So I'm just trying to find a pattern paper that works. And I'm going to choose this floral one here, and then I'll line that over the front of the card, and then I'm going to cut down using that smaller square as a template, just but a part of that teal color paper to put inside of my frame. So I'm just going to stitch that down onto the front of the card base really quick with my sewing machine, and then get going on the rest of the fun bits on the project. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this here and get that square in place, and then get my frame in place, and then I can do all the fun bits. So I love adding the foam adhesive behind these types of frames. You're able to kind of pop things out and make a more three-dimensional card. All right, so what I want to do now is grab that stamp set again. This one from Newton's Nook is called the Lovely Blooms, and there's a couple of fun flower shapes. There's like a rosette kind of shape here, so I'll stamp a few of those, as well as this little tiny daisy type flower. So I'm going to stamp a few of those also onto some scraps of white cardstock, and then I'm going to add a bit of watercoloring to the inside of each of those shapes using just some distress ink and my water pen, as you can see there. For the little daisy shape, I'm going to start with a lighter color of yellow, and then I will work around again using a different color of ink for the inside, just a bit of a darker shade, just to add a little bit more of a layer. And then on the rosette shape, I'm going to use kind of a light pink, almost coral kind of color for the inside of those. So I'll start off with one color of distress ink and then work my way into a darker one for the center. It kind of creates that watercolored layered feel, and really fast and easy. You can see it blends really well, and super fun and very fast. Fast is good. So I'm just going to add a few more little dabs to center here, and while those dry, I'm going to start to go ahead and fussy cut them out. So I'm just going to fussy cut around the outside edge of each of those flower shapes and set those aside. When they're dry, I took my adhesive pen from to add some Decofoil to the center of each of those flowers. So I'm just adding a few dabs of the adhesive, let that set for a minute or two. It really doesn't take long. And then while that's setting, I'm gonna grab some foil. I use the pink melon foil as well as the gold, just like I used for the base of the card. And I'm gonna put that all into my parchment and then cover those pieces with the foil side up and get just the center of those flowers all pretty and fancy. So it just takes a minute or two to run through the laminator, as you can see, and now I have those really fun, pretty centers. For now, all I really need to do is get a sentiment here going for my card, and then I can start assembling everything all together. I kind of messed up initially on the first stamping there on the bottom, so I'm just going to do that whole thing all over again along the top, and then trim that little strip into a strip and make a little pennant in the end. So I'm going to grab some more of that foam adhesive. So I know I'm going to add that kind of behind my pennant title to support it on the card so it doesn't kind of fall flat. And then I'm going to start adding adhesive to the back of pretty much all of these little cutout flowers. You can see I'm just kind of shaping them a little bit with my fingers to kind of give them a little bit of dimension. And then I'm just going to start tucking them in and around where that sentiment is going to go. So I'll start with the larger flowers first. You can see there, I was just about to put my sentiment on, but the white cardstock on white cardstock was just bothering me a little bit too much. So I'm actually going to take it off right now and grab some more distress ink in a light yellow color and just lightly dust around the edge of that just to, have a bit of dimension so it's not so much white on white. And then tuck that in and get all my pretty foiled flowers right back in action. So you can see I'm just going to add another one of those pink coral flowers and tuck some more of those pretty yellow ones in there. One more pretty pink one along the top, and I'm going to trim it down just because it was a little bit too large for the top corner of that frame, and I have a couple extra in the end. So I was almost done the card and I thought it still needed a little bit of something, and there's some really pretty leafy vine stamps in the stamp set. So I decided just to take some light green ink here, as you can see, and just add a tiny little bit of stamping along parts of the edge of the frame, just to kind of finish off that edge of the frame and give it a little bit of detail. And I think I'm done now, so I'm going to just go ahead and take my card base now, add a lot of adhesive, as you can see, and stick that right onto the front. And then I'm going to go ahead and just show you some close-ups now of the front of the card. I love those pretty touches of foil in the little stamped flowers, all with a pretty foiled border around the edge of the card. A really fun and easy card. I hope you like this one. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.